Here's a video about actual facts involving the Big Bang. I'm having a look at a computer screen, so I'm looking away from it for a moment, but you'll still hear me. It should appear that the theories about the Big Bang, the beginning of something, being the beginning of something explained as a massive explosion of some kind, is nonsense. The universe was created from nothing in a void. A bang, in literal terms, indicates a collision or an impact, or some kind, and thus more than one item will be involved. That is logical and obvious. Of course, being the supreme being, I would know this. Anyway, my explanation shown on a YouTube video years ago, I can assure you, is quite correct. Having read the Bible at 4.5 years old, 4.5 years old, and you'll recognise from other information that I've put on the internet that everything is about the numeral 9, the sacred and perfect number of God. Should come as no surprise that the Celts recorded events in my life at 450 AD, as expressed in other information I've put on YouTube years ago. Anyway, the red-hot centre of the Earth I created 450 billion years ago with molten magma, although the Earth and oceans aspect I created with a magical portal before I was 6 years old after reading the Bible story. The Big Bang, as you should easily be able to imagine, was an impact, a collision caused by a large comet or meteor that I can assure you was Ayers Rock in what is now called Australia. The first races of men, and this has been done in cycles, were evident a long time ago. Australian Aboriginals, and Aboriginals in other countries is a big clue. A play on words, you could say, in that the first blood types of man and the most common blood types of man, A, B, and O, are the first three letters of the word aboriginal, and the word original speaks for itself. The term Big Bang is a slang term associated with sex based on that very event, although on a microcosmic scale, and is the same process in miniature during the act of human and mammalian sex. The sperm breaking through the ova, an exact symbolic representation of a comet breaking through the Earth's atmosphere, causes some form of destruction to the egg within the ova and creates a life form. After Ayers Rock landed here, many life forms were destroyed, but much DNA, reptilian DNA, was then available, and I waste nothing, so created man from said DNA. Hence why a human has 1/3 aspect of a reptilian brain and similar physical characteristics of reptiles, muscle structure, eyesight, skeletal structure, physical senses, such as smell and hearing and so on, and to some degree their teeth. Hence why in modern humans there is little room for what are known as wisdom teeth, as a snout is no longer apparent on a human's face. The world is kept in time and timed, and time is measured in accordance with the rotation of the sun, and is also associated with the approximate beatings of a human heart, and heavily connected to Horus. Horus is an anagram of hours, and minutes is an anagram of sun time. That's why Horus is known as a sun god. Now then, the heart, right, here we go, and is associated with the approximate beatings of a human heart. That's 60 times 60 times 24 adds up to 86,400. The heart is a symbol of love, and with human and mammalian love comes sex, hence why time is measured in what is known as sexagesimal time system, based once again upon the act of sex and the action of the comet that broke through Earth's atmosphere and caused destruction and creation on a macrocosmic scale compared to the act of mammalian human sex. In the UK, one of the slang terms applied to the act of sex is bang. For such a big bang to be remembered and recognised, there must have been a bang, a collision that wasn't the creation of worlds or the universe, but that was indeed the creation of different life forms on Earth. These facts are built into the instinctual memory of the most ancient beings, reptiles, dragons, dinosaurs, call them what you will. I would imagine the Bible is somewhat responsible for this, being that a serpent, a reptile, was vilified as having tempted somebody. However, that controversy is easy to explain, and in some way justify in regard to the knowledge of good and evil of a particular fruit of a tree. It is better to know the difference between good and evil, so an informed choice can be made as to what choices a person can make in their life, what is genuinely good, and righteous, and what is evil. Thus, somebody can avoid doing evil in their life if they know the difference. That is a required precept in avoiding being classed as a sinner according to the Bible words of sin and evil, and anyone else who is good can obviously avoid punishments and problems caused by evil acts, as no evil act goes unrecognised by God, the supreme being who created everybody. Rather than going into a theological moment any further than that, I will continue with the so-called Big Bang theory according to scientists who evidently know nothing about spiritual power, supernatural power, and superhuman power, such as the Supreme Being has in abundance, and that he always has and always keeps, and is exclusively his eternally and only. In the sexagesimal time system, that being 60, 60, 24, 60 seconds by 60 minutes by 24 hours, those numerals add up to 86,400, as I've just expressed. Approximately the amount of heartbeats in a person, or of a person's heart. And like I mentioned, that's based upon the precept of love and sex. And again, the microcosm and macrocosm of Ayers Rock and human sex, the sperm and the ova. And the shape of the heart is known globally as a symbol of love. So you could perceive quite correctly sex is massively important aspect of life and procreation, hence why the words go forth and multiply appear in the Bible, which is easy to understand terms, means have sex. Preferably consensual and mutually satisfying sex with a member of the opposite sex of the same species. Thus continuation of species becomes apparent. I'm having to rush through this, otherwise the video would be too long. That's perhaps a good way of expressing the opposite of destruction that calls the act of what is known as sex and merely sex as opposed to making love, with genuine feelings and emotions pertaining to love and care and respect, which are vastly important and significant. That is in respect to what I've done most of my life in worship in the beautiful female form, and due to one obvious aspect of a word in my name. One of my aspects as Pan, a sex god, a love god, and a fertility god, also a god associated with animals and nature. Anyway, there you are. The Big Bang is about the creation of life forms from a different part of the universe, a universe that already existed, but the act of the collision would have been instinctively remembered as a bang. And bang really is a slang term that means sex, and is allied to the sexagesimal time system, heartbeats, and thus in an ideal world, love, true love. Incidentally, Earth is an anagram of heart, though that is nothing of an accident. Everything really does happen for a reason. You could perceive that this act, a comet coming to Earth, as some kind of attack. Indeed, that may be the case, and could explain why certain species on this world seem only to get along after making up after an argument or a fight, though I personally think that's unacceptable. The Supreme Being